Today I'm going to go through the total beginner's guide to handstands. Now this is ideal for anyone that hasn't been on their hands for many years, if they've had an injury, or if they're just basically scared to go upside down. Learning the handstand as an adult is very, very different than when we were children. We have that safety switch in our head that stops us doing silly things like throwing ourselves upside down. We might have poor mobility, we might have a few injuries or aches and pains. Today I'm not going to go through the mobility part. I've got a separate video for that and I'll link that at the end and down in the description. But just make sure at least that the hands and the wrists are happy to put weight onto them. So place your hands on the floor, spread the fingers, shoulders on top of the hands, push the floor away and just do some circles and make sure that there's no restriction, no pain, no discomfort when you do that movement. Now in an ideal world, we'd just be able to kick up to handstand like this and go to the wall. We'd be able to go chest to wall and walk all the way up into that position and be able to hold. In reality, most adults struggle with that, so we need to work out a way to make it easier both to go back to wall and chest to wall. So let's first start with creating a strong position on the hands. So I'm going to place the hands slightly externally rotated, slightly wider than the shoulders to create a bit more space. Have the shoulders on top, and then I'm going to push the floor away, but also round my upper back and keep the arms straight. So it's like I'm trying to push really hard into the floor. I'm then going to go up onto my toes, so I'm in that position. Still trying to push all my weight into the floor on top of the hands. Then I'm going to walk the knees in towards the elbows, bend the elbows and bring the elbows to the knees. So I'm in that position. So I've got the knees slightly on the outside, which is a little bit easier. So I'm in that position. And then I'm going to start to go forwards. So take the head and shoulders down. And what we should feel now as the head and shoulders come down and the hips come up is that the toes start to become a little bit lighter. And this is that frog or crow pose position. And it's great for conditioning the body to put weight into the hands and the shoulders. Now ideally here we should be able to lift one leg or even two legs. If you don't feel comfortable with that, just hang out there for 10, 20 seconds, just tiptoes on the floor. Okay, then we're going to flip over on our back. Now we want to learn how to make the body one segment. It's much easier to make a handstand or balance a handstand if we can hold the body in this one piece. But for most people, that's too hard to jump straight into. So how do we make that easier? I'm just going to keep my knees on top of my hips. I'm going to place my head on the floor. And now I'm just going to focus on pushing my low back to the floor and into the floor. So I'm in that position. And then if I can, I'm just going to try and extend the legs. I could extend one leg or both legs together, which is harder, but I'm really focusing on keeping that low back pushed in hard to the floor. And then I'm going to come back again. Now I could do a hold here, or I could do repetitions. Basically, we want to be able to do both. So I could do a 20 or 30 second hold there, or I could just do reps of going in and out as long as my low back is staying on the floor the whole time. Now this next one can be done with a chair or with a box or even the sofa. Now I'm going to go into like a push-up position but with the feet raised up onto something. Now if that's too hard and you feel like your back's going to go, just stick the hips up a little bit higher in the air, but make sure that you're not collapsing through the shoulders. So I'm pushing the floor away, and then all I'm going to do is see if I can walk in closer towards the chair, stacking the shoulders on top of the hands, looking down towards the floor, hold for a few seconds, and then walk back out. Now, if you're tight in the hamstrings, that could be your limiting factor here. So just don't walk all the way in, or just bend the knees, or you could play around with different heights with the feet. But basically, we want to either be able to go in, hold in that position, or do repetitions. It's just increasing the load, the conditioning on the hands and the shoulders. Then we're going to do exactly the same, but now we're going to use the wall instead of the chair. So I place my hands on the floor, feet on the wall. I can have bent legs here, that's fine. And I'm just going to see if I can walk a hand in and then another hand in closer and closer. And I could take the feet up at the same time, or if I feel more comfortable keeping the feet still, I could stay there like that. So I want to feel that I'm in a strong position and that I have enough energy either to walk back out, or I could just step down into that space. So one option, if you don't feel comfortable to walk the hands in and out, is just to step the feet up onto the wall, hold there for a few seconds, come back down again. And again, with the goal either walking the hands in for repetitions or holding in that position. And then over time, we should be able to walk closer and closer to the wall to get closer towards that chest to wall handstand position. So then over the sessions or the weeks or the months, you'll eventually be able to go up to the wall here, walk the hands and the feet up the wall until we get to here, and then do a conditioning hold there. Eventually the goal would be around 60 seconds, and then come back down with control. But just think every week, every month, you're going to progress towards that. It could be closer to the wall, or it could be increasing the time. Just make sure that you leave enough energy to walk back down again. So now we have the chest wall handstand, but what do we do to kick up to the wall? How do we learn that safely and with control? So the goal here would be to place hands on the floor, pick a focal point between the thumb and index finger, shoulders on top of the hands, hips nice and high, and then see if you could do a kick and see if the shoulders stay in that position. Now, if I can touch the wall with control, that's awesome, and then I can just start to take that foot higher and higher. The higher it goes, the more that second leg is going to go up until I can get that first leg to go up and the second leg to join it. Then repeat that on the way back down, and see if I can get that for repetitions. Now, if you can do that, you don't need this next stage. If you can't do that yet, let's put something in between those. Now, this is where we can use the box or chair again. I'm going to place one foot on the box, place my hands on the floor, and I'm seeing if I can step up and touch the wall and come back down again. Notice I'm not kicking, so I'm not jumping off the box. I'm just walking or stepping up. If I can, I could even walk all the way up to the wall there if I have the flexibility. But if I don't have that, I can just build that conditioning of that kick-like movement, but it's very, very controlled. What it's doing is it's basically building and increasing your confidence to go into that kick-up position and keep weight loaded into the shoulders without throwing the head towards the wall. So again, we can go slow, aim for the wall, but if you don't touch it, that's cool. And you can fine-tune this by moving this forwards and backwards, and also change the height of the step. But remember, the goal is to get to that point where we don't need that anymore, and we can step or kick up and down to the wall with control. Now, once you have that chest wall position, once you have the kick up to the wall, you're ready for my next video that takes you through those 5 steps to a freestanding handstand. And I'll link that here. Let me know if you have any questions.